Man, I beat the drum of therapy like so much because my goal is to like just normalize it. I want to normalize it with my students. And
Mm,
so you know, it wasn't always like that. I used to fall into the stigma of like, it being a taboo thing in the Black community. But now like I beat the drum. I say, yeah, I gotta call you back. I'm going to therapy, man. You know what I'm saying? So,
mm.
I try to do that as much as I can. And so that um is something that you see, yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. Thank you, and thank you for that. I mean, I have in recent weeks, months, been like planning and strategizing and overthinking, but I'm going to. I need to just do it. I need to. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I'm gonna. I don't even know where to start. I made a commitment that I was gonna at least set up an
No,
appointment with two potential therapists, and I have not done it yet. I'm like, okay, hmm. Now where do I start? And then who do I ask how to start? And then you know, so I've been like feeling that little deer in the headlights around it. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
it's
make a
dope.
commitment.
It's dope, bro. It's funny, like we give of ourselves so much,
Yeah.
you know, but I know that every other week, but at
Mm,
1 hour on a Tuesday at 7 p.m., I know that is somebody that's gonna listen to me. And I can say whatever I want. I don't have to filter it,
mm,
and that person is gonna listen to me and just put time and attention to like my needs, and
yeah.
then and I may have to like wait till another week, another 2 weeks, but I know that during that time, that's for me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm really glad you joined us. Today's guest is Brother Jason Muhammad. Brother Jason is a 7th and 8th grade teacher in Pittsburgh. He's a father. He's a community worker. And one of the things that he said that really stood out in the early part of this conversation is he said, I'm really thankful to my company for my job, but I am employed by the community. I work for my community and my people. Imagine that. Imagine if educators all over not just felt like they were there at that school to work for the students of that building, but they felt like the building was an extension of the community, that they worked for everyone in the community to have a lifestyle better than it is today. I think you're going to hear that in his words in this conversation. You're going to hear us talk about our masks. And one of the things I'm really excited about in this conversation is you know, as we have conversations with men all over the world, brother Jason and I met through brother Emil because we both met, all of us, at South by Southwest this past year, EDU. And what an amazing opportunity in that space to like meet other educators and then keep the connection going. Maybe you've been to conferences before where you met people and then it just went away. You come back home, you get back busy, and you never reconnect. But to have people you meet and really build connection with is really, really meaningful to me. And I think is really powerful for this work, especially as educators, like the education profession has very few Black male educators, very few men in general. There's 78% women in education teaching. And so we get a chance to like have these conversations, and we're having more conversations with teachers. I've told you, we're finding more educators and more people who are passionate about this work. And I think what I'm really excited about today is that more and more we have a need for these type of depth of conversation. Not only is there a need, but hopefully in this podcast, we get to create a platform for men. So if you know someone who you feel we should talk to, please connect us with them. If you haven't made a review of this podcast, if you haven't like rated it, we invite you to go do that. But today you get to hear Brother Jason and I have a conversation about our masks, about education, about school, about how we can make our communities better. Two men just coming together to take off our masks. If you haven't yet made a mask, I invite you, you can do that at millionmasks.org. It's 3 steps, and you can do it anonymously. The front of the mask, the things that we let the world see about us. The back of the mask, the things that we don't talk about much, we don't usually talk about. And one of the things that I'm still reflecting on last week's work when I was at the Juvenile Detention Center here in Alameda County is how many young men feel that they're fixed in where their mask is. Or they have just such good masks that even just a little bit of glimpse on the other side is too much. And I get it. I get it. There was no pressure from me for them to talk about it, but all of them, when they wrote their mask, they knew anonymously. They knew that there was more going on. And so what we invite you to do, as if you know any young people, any students, any schools who should be doing this work in their communities. Listen, we know schools already started this year off on, maybe you're like, hey, we're back. And some schools are like, oh no, we're back. And what we know is that we got to support our teachers and students in these building these relationships that are super critical right now, super critical. So we invite you to help us get the word out about the Million Mask Movement. If you know a teacher, counselor, principal, administrator, even a superintendent, maybe you connect them with us or connect us with them and let them know about what we're trying to do with this work. And we hope this year you will see some amazing things happen. And we actually want to tell you one special note. This is our non-sponsor sponsor for this episode. Save the date, 11/11/22. I don't know if I've announced it here, but 11/11/22, we will be having a relaunch event here in Oakland live, and we will probably have some live streaming happening. So if you're not able to come to Oakland, we invite you to stay tuned and be listening out for how you can check out the Million Mask Movement and a live event. So thank you for listening. Thanks for being a part of this podcast with us. We look forward to seeing you again soon, folks. Take care. Ever forward. Boom. All right, so here's where we go and do it. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Let me turn this one down. Jason, welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I'm truly, truly honored that anybody will want to hear from me. Yes, sir. So I'm thankful.
Oh man, well, we need to hear from you, and you not only are you an educator, and you are, we got a chance to meet at South by Southwest, EDU this past year, and I was so juiced. I mean, it was loud, it was wild, and to be able to have a conversation that felt like it was like right there in the middle of all the madness was beautiful. And I think I was juiced to have this opportunity to connect with you. And I think we have so few of Black men in education, one thing, but also spaces for Black men to come together and just talk about our masks, like what mask do we have to wear? Do we feel the need to wear? And I think that sometimes we're misunderstood, right? Because we've often have to be in these mask worlds, so people may not really know who we are. So will you introduce yourself to folks? Tell them who you are, what you're up to in the world. What do you want folks to know about you? And then we'll jump into these masks.
All right. Peace. My name is Brother Jason Muhammad. I'm an educator. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And I just somebody who is rooted in my community. I'm a Muslim. I feel like I carry all of those things with me wherever I go. I try to. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I think we're going to talk a lot about community. As educators, I think that's, we got into this work for a certain reason, and I'm excited. Just for sake of what subject do you teach, and and where do you teach?
I teach 7th and 8th grade social studies. I work at Propel schools in Pittsburgh. It's a charter school system in Western Pennsylvania. And, I'm thankful you know, to have a job. I'm thankful for my employer, you know, but ultimately I'm employed by my community. I work for my community and my people, you know. So I do that within the confines of my job, you know. But you know, it extends, and you talked about it, like, you know, between work and home, and the work you do at home, like it extends way beyond those school doors, you know. So yeah.
Not a doubt. One thing I'm really excited, you know, and actually, I don't think I made the connection. I was just in Philly doing a workshop, maybe a month ago. So now that I know you're in that area, and I know we're going to be getting invited back to do some work in some schools there. So I'm excited to know you're there. I don't think I didn't know that actually when we met.
And you know, Philly is like the eastern part of the state. Pittsburgh is the western part of the state. But you know, if you make it this far east, you know, we can make an arrangement, man, to hook up and meet up. That'd be dope.
Well, fantastic. Well, we're going to be doing a lot of work with educators this fall. So I think that's going to actually make a lot of sense in terms of like the training of the trainers that we're doing. And so anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. That's work. This is the time for us to connect. So
yes, sir.
I'm glad to know that. Now I know that. And we're gonna do something. I have a feeling that there's some needs all over the country for young people, and definitely in this work we're talking about today, young men and boys to like know that they're okay and they're enough.
Yeah.
And that the limited ways that they have been maybe trained by media, by family, by community, that you can't be fully human is not accurate.
That's true.
It's limited. It's so limiting, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited that, you know, as another educator, we get to connect, and hopefully what you get to experience today as this mask, you're going to make a mask today. So how about we do that? How about we get into the mask? So,
okay.
And I'll walk you through the steps. There's 3 steps. This task that we do, people all over the world, is 1 picture and 6 words. So if you take your picture, you take your piece of paper and just fold it in half.
Okay.
Just fold it in half. Let's say in this direction, in the hamburger style.
So hamburger, right? Yeah. You know, 2 teachers on here. It's funny. I get on my middle school students, you know, and they like, well, which way do I fold? I was like, come on, man, I still gotta say hamburger, hot dog. so
absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. And on the left side, so you can open it up, and then on the left side, you're gonna write front, and the right side, you're gonna write back at the top. Just at the very top, you just write front, and the right side, you're gonna write back.
Okay, let me.
And for those of you out there that are listening, you can make your mask anonymously. You know, Brother Jason and I are going to share ours publicly, but you can make yours anonymously at millionmask.org. You can go and make a mask right now while we're talking. And as we share ours, you may resonate with some things we're going to talk about. So, Brother Jason, the first step is on the left side, which is the front of the mask. I want you just to draw a mask. Like whatever you think a mask looks like, draw a mask. Don't show me yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna reveal it.
Okay. Now go ahead and put like eyes and a mouth on there too, or
yep. You can put whatever you envision. It's your mask, so it could be as complex or as not as you choose.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to do that, and then we'll jump into the second step. So first step is already done. Mask is done. First step.
All right.
Since you work with middle schoolers, I think you'll probably this will resonate a lot, I think, in this context.
Oh, best believe I'm using this, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to, and that's exciting. Actually,
and you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I would love to have you on, like, via video, and walk through this with my students, man. Like that'd be good. But we could talk about, whether you would allow me to just use this exercise with them, or if you wanted to be a part of that as well, man. Like, yes, I'm with that.
Well, that's exactly the next phase of this work is our expansion to the world, right? And I think this next 100 episodes, from, it's like, how do we connect with people all over, right? How do we invite educators and teachers and families and communities to, like, not only share their mask, because right now we've had most of the masks, they're all anonymous, right? But it's just the men who've been on the show, we share ours up, publicly. And so this next piece is we're recruiting, engaging, connecting with educators all over the country, because we know that this work helps us right away see how our kids are doing in a way that feels a little bit less obtrusive by just asking them a question in front of the class, but it's like they're doing an activity anonymously, and then we get to, like, see this information in real time, what our kids are carrying. And I think oftentimes educators in schools I go to, they're like, well, we don't want to bring stuff up. I'm like, well, the fact you don't talk about it don't mean they're not dealing with it.
That's a fact, man.
Yeah, they're dealing with it. You just probably you may not want to have to deal with it. But
you know what? When it goes unaddressed, we gonna deal with it in a way, you know what I'm saying, in a classroom disruption. So
that's right.
To get to the root of it would be the wisest thing anyway, and to help the young person unpack whatever they're dealing with. And that just makes the most sense. But we just so used to sweeping it under the rug.
Oh, you better believe. And you just said it. And we hope that it would happen in the classroom, but sadly, it happens at the lunchtime when not enough adults are at the playground, on the bus before school, at the playground after school, at the corner store. It happens when we're not around, because they're smart and they know how to strategize, right? They got good math too. They're like, oh, nothing's going on here. And you walk down the hall, you could tell something's happening. And you like, what's going on over here? And they're like, oh, nothing. And you're like, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying, because you can feel it and see it, right? But we know that our work is to help make those things come out in the healthy places, so that they don't come erupting out in unhealthy places where you can't support them. That's what we see. So, all right. So now you got the mask, you got the image. Now on the same side where that mask is, the left side, you're going to write 3 words, which are qualities or characteristics of yourself that you gladly let the world see. So what are 3 qualities or characteristics of yourself that you gladly let people see? And it could be a word or a phrase on the left side, the same side where the mask is. 3 words or phrases that you gladly let the world see.
All right.
Okay. Now we're going to turn to the right side, the back of the mask.
Okay.
And now the back of the mask is different than the front of the mask. So take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Now, the back of the mask are those things that you normally don't let people see, that you normally don't talk about. 3 words or 3 phrases that are things that you maybe just sometimes maybe it's not things you hide, because the goal is the things like, what are some things that you may want to talk about but no one ever asks? And so the 3 things on the back are things that you don't normally let people see. What's behind the mask?
Got it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, as our guest, you get to decide who goes first. So you get to decide who shares. Either I share first, or you want to share first.
I'm gonna let you go first, bro.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what I often try and do is, because I make a mask for every episode, I try and like since episode 50, I've been really pushing myself to find new words, and because I can get into repetition, right? I mean, but this is my mask for today.
Okay.
And so I drew this character. Not sure what was happening. It was just, and then these are the words I wrote. I wrote passionate, intense, or passionate/intense. And then usually I'm very passionate about the work, and it can come off as very intense sometimes, dedicated and creative. And, I think the one I want to talk about today is the creative part, because I actually was not going to write creative, because I think I've only recently embraced the fact that I really like to draw, that I really like. I mean, I got this fancy pencil, and this is a fancy pencil, like with multiple colors, right? I think when I was in elementary school, I was bad at art. I got bad grades in art. The teacher told me I couldn't draw to save my life. Like, it was just kind of like, if you weren't good at drawing or coloring in the lines, and you were considered bad at art. And I think I just always avoided art. I would always see things. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. That's so beautiful. I can't do anything like that, because I was always trying to do under this guise of like, you have to like be always in the lines, and you always have to be neat, and always have to be. And my writing is friggin' messy as I don't know what. My drawing is probably even messier, but like, it's fun. And I think I'm getting back to that place of accepting that I like to be creative. I like to just draw. I bought some paints the other day. I haven't opened them up yet. I'm like, I don't even know how to even start. Like, it's gonna make a mess. So I'm worried about making a mess, right? So I'm like, okay, I know I got to get over that if I'm gonna mess with paint anyway. But I think it's like, I feel what's holding me back, and it's like old programming. It's not what I would love to just get in the paint and make a mess, but right, I'm always like, anyway. So those are the things that are really, and then the passion intense one, I think, is one that it's interesting, right? Like, if your passion comes out as intensity, sometimes it can repel people because it's too much for them. And then if I'm thinking I'm being too much, then I'm gonna turn down the volume. But I'm turning it down not for me. I'm turning it down for other people. And right. I think sometimes I diminish my. Anyway, those are the things I think about a lot. Like, I'm very passionate about this work that I get to do. And I know that sometimes I'm like, okay, this is coming off a little bit rough. It's coming from a great place in my mind. It's coming from a good heart place. But, sometimes how can people receive it? So those are the things that are really present on the front of my mask.
All right. It's my turn for the front.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. So I put, I don't know. So I kind of did the slash when I saw you do it. Joy, jubilance. I just feel like I'm a happy person, man. Like I just love smiling. I love laughing. And sometimes people, wife be like, what are you laughing at? I'm just happy. Like, or, I could like just think of something and so I'm just joyful. Community, that's something people know about me. Like, I'm about my community. And that's and then man, I beat the drum of therapy like so much because my goal is to like just normalize it. I want to normalize it with my students. And so it wasn't always like that. I used to fall into the stigma of like, it being a taboo thing in the Black community. But now, like, I beat the drum. I say, yeah, I gotta call you back. I'm going to therapy, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to do that as much as I can. And so that is something that you see, yeah.
Nice. Thank you. And thank you for that. I mean, I have in recent weeks, months been like planning and strategizing and overthinking, but I need to just do it. I need to, thank you for saying that. I'm going to, I don't even know where to start. I made a commitment that I was going to at least set up an appointment with 2 potential therapists, and I have not done it yet. I'm like, okay, now where do I start? And then who do I ask how to start? And then, so I've been like feeling that little deer in the headlights around it, but I'm going to do it.
It's dope. It's dope, bro. It's funny, like we give of ourselves so much, but I know that every other week, but at 1 hour on a Tuesday at 7 p.m., I know that is somebody that's going to listen to me, and I can say whatever I want. I don't have to filter it, and that person is going to listen to me and, just put time and attention to like my needs, and then I may have to like wait till another week, another 2 weeks when I know that during that time that's for me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's self-care, and sometimes I'll be talking about stuff and I'll be like, I didn't even really realize, and I can't say that I had like, though, I don't have no story of childhood trauma. Now, no serious childhood trauma. You know what I mean? Now we all like being a black man in America. That's traumatic right there. You know what I'm saying? But it's just beautiful like to like unpack stuff, man. That's a blessing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that. I think sometimes people think that the only reason you should go is if you had like traumatic things going on, so you have to unpack. But I think just the day-to-day existence of like what I see happen with a lot of men, and definitely it starts with our boys, our young men, they bottle it up. Yeah. And they have lost their voice, right? And all they have, and a lot of them, I tell them, I say, do you know how emotional you are? And I hate hearing that. Like, you're talking about I'm emotional. I'm like, do you know that anger is an emotion? Because you're always angry. Like, every time I talk to you, you want to be in a battle with me, and I'm not at your enemy. Like, how about you like argue with one of these teachers who don't like you? Like, I like you, and you're always arguing with me. You always want to fight with me. Like, there's no reason.
And my therapist told me, and this was actually like my marriage counselor. I go to therapy. My wife and I, we just kind of been blessed to I don't want to say graduate, but like our marriage counselor said that we were in a place where, okay, y'all don't need a regular appointment. She said, if y'all need me, call me. I can schedule something. Nice. So that's a blessing, right? Yeah. That took years. And then we also took a restorative parenting class, bro. But what she said that anger is a secondary emotion. Yeah. So that what's driving that anger and like getting to the root of it, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what you're saying is that you telling your student, like, man, you always angry, like, let's get to the root of like the why, and I say, man, like if I'm gonna eat right, if I'm gonna, I try to do some type of physical exercise, I walk 2 miles every morning, you know what I'm saying? Nice. If I'm gonna do that, if I'm gonna take care of my spiritual, like therapy to me is all inclusive, like as a part of that. That's kind of like my philosophy on therapy,
Yeah, man. No. Thank you. And I'm excited. I think that's the fact that young people are hearing you talk about it. Yeah. Makes it like, oh, okay. Oh, I mean, wait, you don't look like there's nothing wrong with you, right? but the idea is that it's not because something's wrong with us. It's because life is happening to us. And sometimes we just need a way to just be able to decompress all the stuff that's happening to us on a daily basis, even if it's a bunch of little things. It's not all the big things. The big things cause those small things to exacerbate, right? Yeah. And I think that's what I tell young men when we're doing the work. So let's jump to the back, and I think we can go in because I know we've been having this conversation in the conversation the whole time, which is really beautiful. All right, so the back. Okay, here we go. All right. I wrote self-doubt, worry, and I wrote sadness regarding my brother. And I think I'm gonna start with the sadness regarding my brother first, just because it's I've talked about my brother a few times on the show, but he came to the house the other day. My brother is he battles schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and this last trip to jail for him, right before they placed him, he's working with an agency who finds him a home. And I've just come to realize how unsupported people with mental health issues are. For a long time, my brother didn't get diagnosed. So he was in jail for like a 6-month thing, turned into almost 10 years because he kept doing stuff that was getting him more time, like over and over again. I'm like, what is going on here? And finally, in his last year, he was diagnosed, started getting medicated, and then he was out within a year. Like, it was like, because there was nobody even asked what were causing these behaviors. And so, but I saw him the other day, and he's deteriorating. He's in those substances, and it breaks my heart. It's almost like I usually don't want to talk about it because I feel the emotion come up, like to watch my little brother just like deteriorating, like when you see it, somebody you held, somebody I mean, it's a pain that you can't even put a Band-Aid on, right? You can just, the Band-Aid would be ignore it. And then if you ignore it, what does that do? It just basically causes me to pretend like I'm not feeling what I'm feeling about this person who I love. So I'm feeling that a lot lately. Luckily he does check in once in a while. He'll like take me to Walmart. I'm like, I'm not taking you to Walmart. It's 3 a.m. Are you crazy? Like, Walmart's not even open, by the way. And second of all, what are you doing walking around at 3 a.m? So like the balance between the love and trying to and big brother is always challenging sometimes. So that's standing out to me a lot right now because I just saw him the other day. And it's yeah. So anyway, that's grabbing me a lot. And then I would say self-doubt. I think, in this work, running a nonprofit, I think about the right roles for the right people and the right, like, my right role. Is this my right role? Like, I got a desk piled up. Like, luckily you can only see this right here. I crafted that really well, but
that's the mask. That's the mask.
You don't get to see what's happening right here. I mean, it's probably like, it's like this high. It's like this high. Like, it's not even okay. But I ultimately, like, okay, when I come back, I got this next week. I'm making a commitment to like dealing with this, right? There's just stuff like, okay. So there's it's a season of like, of renewing that has to happen, but also, right. Summertime is that you talk about being rejuvenated and feeling like fired up. I need to like rejuvenate and real soon, right? So that I don't burn out. And so those are the things that I'm carrying right now on the back of my mask.
So I got the sadness around your brother, the self-doubt, and what was the third one?
Oh, the other one I wrote was worry.
Oh, worry. Okay, got it. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna share mine.
Okay.
So it's interesting. In all of my joy and jubilance on the front, I got a anger problem as well, and sometimes even when I'm at work, they like, man, I can never see you losing your cool. And I'm like, oh, we're happy. And I just be like, you don't want, and it's funny. I'm gonna tell you this. Minister Farrakhan, he said, if you want to give a man a report card, he said, don't ask the brothers, don't ask the community. He said, you got to ask his wife and his children.
Yeah.
Because and I had to come to grips with that because it was all love out in the streets. Oh, that's Brother Jason, man. But you got to come home. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's my anger. Kind of like along the lines of what you talked about, that self-doubt, those insecurities that we have. I was talking about this whole idea of like imposter syndrome, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes um, it's been ingrained in us as a people sometimes, and we've kind of like bought into the self-concept of like, I don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes we'll be like moving towards success and we'll be like almost engaging in some like self-sabotage. No, almost about it. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to like take that step where you out on the island of success. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So, you know, it's a daily battle against those insecurities. And that like that self-doubt along those lines.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing, bro, I struggle with is I don't struggle with it. I'm a proud Muslim, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes, man, when you get on the job, you know, even like it's funny, we switched to the platform of Zoom, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I keep the first name there, but sometimes you wonder, like, should I let these people know like I'm Jason Muhammad, or should I use my slave name? Or, you know what I'm saying? And because you just don't know where people are at, you know. And I'm gonna tell you what's funny. This past school year, I'm not gonna say I ever like hide it, and then, you know, religion on the workplace is like something that's you know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you know, what's his place on the workplace, right? But what happened was, you know, I try to always be a man of character, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not, you know, the job ain't where I go and you know, wear my suit and bow tie. You know what I'm saying? That the job ain't for that, but I hope that people could like want to know more about me based off of like my character. But what happened was Ramadan was coming up, right? And so, you know, and I'm like a coffee drinker. Like I got like a, you know, three cup a day habit. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, sometimes in the afternoon, I switch to Red Bull. You know what I'm saying? In the afternoon. so I'm a caffeine fiend.
Yes.
But during Ramadan, you know, you're not eating or drinking during the daylight hours. You know what I'm saying? Now, and most of the time during the school year, I try to be disciplined with my eating habits. And so a lot of times, you know, they don't really see me eating much, but you're going to notice that, oh, hold on. The brother ain't had his coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then also like, you know, and that's, you know, it's difficult because, you know, now I got a that coffee has a physiological place in my life now. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm different now because I got a little headache, little caffeine headache.
Yeah.
You know, my energy ain't there. And so I just came and said like, hey, you know, I'm fasting for the next 30 days of Ramadan. You know what I'm saying? They like, what? We didn't even know you was Muslim. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah. So I kind of just use that as an opportunity to you know, and even, you know, people always probably was suspecting like something different about this guy, you know what I'm saying? And they say, well, you know, you don't do Christmas, do you? And I said, no, we do Kwanzaa. But that's even still stopping short of saying like, I am a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. You know? So that's kind of like a mask, you know what I'm saying? But meanwhile, you know, in my wallet, you know, I'm a card carrying member, literally. So, you know, so that's always something that you just never know. And you know, that Zoom thing is funny. Like what name is gonna be on there?
And I wonder, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really powerful. The idea of like even like for me, right? Like I grew up as a Christian. I'm a Christian, and I think sometimes it feels like that pressure. Like right now, we're doing this community service event, right? And I'm like trying to like say, hey, you know, my church is doing this community service event, but I'm not in denial about my beliefs, right? I don't hide them, but I'm also like, I'm not trying to like make it feel like I'm preaching to people
Right.
to
Yep.
like, right? Like I'm judging them or whatever. And I think sometimes I feel like, why have I not shared this community service evening that we're doing? Right. Like, because I'm like, because the app is from something church, right? It's like, oh, what is he trying to make me click on? You trying to indoctrinate me with your stuff, right? Don't be making me, I don't want to bite into your stuff. I'm like, oh, it's community service. It's to help the teachers, you know?
Right.
But, and I think that I have to become more fearless in that way, right? We're asked to do that. We're asked to do that to be have courage.
Yeah.
To have courage, right? And I think that's some of the things that I constantly have to work on myself too. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you sharing
absolutely,
that.
bro. Yeah. No, thank you. I what you saying is like right in line with, you know, just especially now. I think now, especially among young people, it's kind of like you hear that thing, and not just young people, but like, you know, I don't believe in organized religion, brother. I'm spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool, you know what I'm saying? which is cool, which is okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm spiritual too, brother. You know, and to know, like, even, you know, when I'm inviting somebody to the mosque, I had to tell them, like, look, bro, like, you are under no obligation to join. Just come and hear a good word. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? You okay on Sunday? Look, football season. You know, NBA is over, bro. You know what I'm saying? I get it once, but you know, if you don't, that's cool too. You know what I'm saying? But even how to just say, like, okay, share. If you looking for something to do, come participate in the community service we doing. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, bro.
And I think about that, you know, in a lot of ways, right? Like, I grew up like in a Christian church, so like the messaging was that you should not listen or entertain any other thoughts or ideas at all, ever, right? And I remember in high school we had to read a book called Siddhartha, and Siddhartha was about the Buddha.
Right.
And I remember, like, we got the book and it was a cool picture on the front. It was a kid sitting under a tree and the stars, and then I turned to the back and it was like Siddhartha, better known as the Buddha. And I was like, oh, hey, oh, you can't be making me read this. And I remember like I was ready when like the teacher was doing some of this. I was like, I had my hand up and he could see that I was on my face. He was like, what's Ashanti about to say now? Ashanti, he knows he got a big mouth, right? And I'm like, I can't read this book. I can't read this book. I can't read this book. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I can't read it. Did you read the back of the book? Did you read the back? And I remember, like, in this moment of like indignation, like he said, Ashanti, this is English class.
Right.
This is your English task. You better talk to your grandfather and figure out what your grandfather gonna say about this. Because I told him, I said, I'm a Christian. I can't be reading about the Buddha. Like, you're not trying to make me into a Buddhist. And he was like, I don't know where you got that from. Right. This is the literature reading assignment for the next 4 weeks. So talk to your grandpa and let him know that you're going to fail English if somehow you can't read this book. Right.
And it's interesting. Like, you know, I've been in the Nation of Islam since 1997. So, like, you know, over 20 years. Right. But even in that context, exactly what you're saying, like, I've evolved and had to, like, achieve balance where, you know, that it's not dogma, you know what I'm saying? And it's just really just a lot more natural. But that's taking years for me, you know what I'm saying? So that, you know, because I tell people, like, man, you telling these youth to stop the gang banging, right? Meanwhile, we doing the spiritual set trip. You know, you know what I'm saying? We got the Muslims banging on the Christians, and then in Islam, you got this school of thought banging on this school of thought, and I'm sure you see, you know, so I'm but that took me years, you know what I'm saying? Where years of, like, evolution and just and a lot of it is kind of like just being secure in myself. That it kind of goes with those insecurities where, look, I'm just gonna be me, you know what I'm saying? And you know, hopefully you'll just want to tap in the fact that I'm a good person. Like, bro, if I was in town, I would support whatever y'all are doing, bro. Just because you a good billboard. You know what I'm saying? You a good balanced billboard for whatever, because I know that something drives you to do the work that you do. Yeah. And so naturally, I would be inclined to say like, hey, like without saying like, if I go over there with Brother Ashanti, you know what I'm saying? Or so, I'm like, hey man, like the brother deserves my support. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Moss is having a fish fry on Saturday too. You might after we could go grab a fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think that's so beautiful. And I think we need to be able to have more of these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
There shouldn't, I don't know why, I have ideas why, but I think, why couldn't we have a conversation that is peaceful and kind and respectful? Yeah. Where no one's trying to I think we have a society that makes us believe that we have the right to make people think how we think.
Yeah.
And guess what? That I think we found that doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't work, and it's not effective. And I think that same thing with what we do with these community and in these mass, right? We're like, hey, just keep your stuff to yourself. I don't want to hear about it. Just suck it up and move on, right? And I think we do that with our young men. And maybe you see that with your young men in your classes as well, like how they have to, even with you, a man who is kind and trying to be supportive, they got to put on that mask with you, like, no, I'm good, I'm cool. And you can see it all over them. Yeah. They're not good, right?
And one thing that I'm careful of is like, especially like social media, even like podcasting, right? Sometimes I'm careful that I don't get into like an echo chamber. You know what I mean? Like social media, the only people I'm following is like Muslims in the Nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I saw that happen. And so it was really refreshing to start the account for the podcast because, you just want to interact with all different kind of people. You know what I'm saying? And because really, when you look at the thread, it's principles and universal principles. And I remember the minister said, the wino is more intelligent than us. He said, the wino don't care about the label on the bottle. He just cares what's inside it. I said, back when I was drinking, the one time they pulled out the moonshine and it was in a mayonnaise jar. You knew it wasn't mayonnaise in that jar. We just was concerned with what was in the jar. We weren't worried about the jar.
Oh man, the jar was a disguise, right?
The jar was a disguise. It was a mask.
That's right. It's like the paper bag,
the brown bag.
Like the paper bag. It's just a bag. It ain't nothing inside there, right? Like right. And I think that's important.
That's dope.
What I want to do is as we close out, as an educator, and I'm thankful because I think I've had several educators on the show, and I think we're going to start interviewing a lot more educators. Like, here's what I know, that since there's so few men in education, like, less than 24% or 23% right now of men in education, I think it's hard in general. And then being Black men in education is even like 1 to 2%.
Yeah.
So how low those numbers are. Maybe just as we close out, maybe is a message to educators, to young people. Like, what would you like to just say as we, as you and I, like, I think this is just the first step, because your school or your community is going to be making masks this year. I'm super excited about that. Like, I think, we're going to be doing trainings on the East Coast. I think, what message would you want people to take as we get ready to kick off this new school year? I think is, it could be to anybody. It could be to students. It could be to teachers. It could be to parents. But what message would you like to say to folks out there? Is there, some schools starting like 2 weeks, some starting 4 weeks, right? But it's coming, right?
Yeah. So probably a couple messages. Like, one, to parents, the age of relying on the school to educate your children, of you sending your child to school, and counting on your child to get the education that you think that they deserve, that's long gone. And so I would say to parents, you got to be hands-on. You got to debrief with your child daily. And then you got to be present up at the school, like not in no aggressive way, like what y'all doing, you know. But I remember in education class, it was like a statistic that the more visible a parent is, the better they treat your child. You know, and it should it be like that? Absolutely not. It shouldn't be like that, but that's the fact. And so and then also just seeking knowledge and getting knowledge to supplement, you know, the deficits in the school system, you know. That's so that's a message to my parents. To my students, to my young people, you know, my young people, they say, oh, you old, you know, they like to crack on my hairline, you know. And I say, man, I'm gonna come find you when you 46, you know, see how good you look. I say, I look good for my age, you know. And to you young people, man, tap into some people that's a little older than you, because especially in this age, man, growing old is a blessing. You know, like we seeing far too many people going out of here at a young age, you know, and of course we talk about like gun violence, but you know, it's people. I consider myself a young man, you know what I'm saying? But it's people, our peers, bro, are dying of stroke and heart attack, and you know, you talk about that stress, you know, and these mental health challenges, bro, that's serious, you know. So I would encourage young people, like tap into and just listen to a person that's older than you, you know. But I would say for us, you know, the reason why I teach is because it keeps me young, and man, we gotta listen to young people that equally, maybe more than we expecting them to listen to us. And then the last thing I would say, man, for anybody looking to be a teacher, especially, I'm gonna talk to my people of color, and I'm gonna talk to my Black men. You know, we trying to make education, make being a teacher sexy again. You know, I can't even say again, you know, because I don't know if it was ever sexy, but we gotta make it sexy. And so, you know, I would encourage you, like, you know, the pay ain't so good, but I feel like you are an example. I try to be an example of like how we can do things in the educational realm and build these like companies that can support us beyond education, where we're not dependent on just that paycheck. You know what I mean? But it's super fulfilling, man. Like, I walked the streets of Pittsburgh, and I was at the stoplight yesterday, and somebody looked over at me and said, ain't you a teacher? I said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, man, you used to be my teacher. I said, what school you go? And they told me what school they went to. And I was like, and this was like probably 2011, 2012, when I was substituting. You know what I'm saying? But that person remembered me, and especially as a Black man, because it ain't many, you know what I'm saying? Right. And so, you know, but that's securing ourselves, you know, and that's just a worthwhile investment. So anybody thinking about being a teacher, I would encourage it, you know, because it is super rewarding. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that call to action. Thank you for being on this show with me, brother. Thanks for making time of your summer. And
hey, brother Ashanti, man, I thank you, bro. I'm honored. Man, y'all have a top flight operation, bro. You on all platforms, correct?
We are. Branch Speaks is where the podcast. We'll send you a link to your show when it comes out, and then we'll and then Ever Forward Club is the organization. So Branch Speaks, and yeah, let's tap in. You know, as you start preparing to go back, whenever you start thinking about going back, let's tap in to see how the work can serve your community there. Because I know that
100%. And that was you texting me, correct?
that was Choke texting you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I'll get you. I'll text you my number after we.
That'd be a blessing.
I'll end here. So, folks, listen. If you want to make a mask like my brother Jason and I did, you can go to millionmask.org. Just so you know, Jason is a part of our second 100 episodes. We're finishing 100 episodes this next week, and so we're so excited to have him as one of the early episodes in the hundreds. And as you know, we're continue to grow. So please, wherever you listen to podcasts, go check it out on Spotify, Apple, wherever. Give us a like, rate us, share it with somebody. And if you know any educators who you think we should talk to, please make sure you reach out to us. Thank you for being a part of the movement.
And you could check us out at the EP&D podcast. Extraordinary People Next Door, EP&D podcast. You can hear me and my brother Emil. EP&D podcast on Twitter, EP&D podcast on Instagram. And then check out my brother Emil's doing some great things with Boot Up. I think it's Boot Up PGH on Twitter, and Boot Up PGH on Instagram. The tech, and that stands for Building Our Own Tech, Uplifting People. So just check us out on all those platforms. And bro, we got a link, man. Anytime you come anywhere near on this Eastern Seaboard, man, we're gonna link up, bro.
Let's do it. Yep. And thank you for telling us the name of the podcast, because we want to make sure we'll have it in the show notes. So we'll have all that information for folks. So please check them out. We're part of this movement of revitalizing and revamping how education looks for all of our kids, especially for the ones who it doesn't work for right now.
I can't wait to hear this episode, bro. And y'all on social media and everything, right?
Yep. Ever Forward Club and Branch Speaks.
I look forward to getting on all of that, man. So,
right on, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so much, man. Good to have you. Enjoy the rest of your summer. And
you as well, good brother.
And tell your daughter thanks for the light. Tell her thanks for the light.
1,000%, bro. And I'm gonna try to stay in that metaphorical light, bro. Stay in the light, man.
For sure.
All right,
both
peace
are,
and
bro.
Blessings upon
peace
you,
and
brother.
Blessings to you too, brother.
All right. Peace.
The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie. Graphics are by Kelly Wong. And a special thanks to the team at Ever Forward, Vanessa Cortez and Choke Allen Alvarez. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast as we cross the 100th episode milestone and begin the work to the next 100. We hope that everyone who's been a part knows that they're a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. And we look forward to you being a part of it as well. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share, as we look forward to continuing to have conversations that matter. Stay tuned for the relaunch of the Million Mask Movement on 11/11/22. That's November 11th of 2022. There's a math problem in there. You can find out more by visiting everforwardclub.org and following us on social media. Take care, and we'll see you soon.